Good evening, everybody. This is Brendan Magnan, Chair of the Inlands Wetlands Commission. I'd like to call to order the April 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Inlands Wetlands Agency. Lisa, please call the roll.
Daniel Bedecker.
Yep.
Ranjit Bahav. Brian Black.
Here.
Jim Connors. Matthew Connors.
Here.
Steve Munson.
Here.
Nick Ritchie.
Here.
Julie Valvo. Julie.
Here.
Buddy Field.
Here.
Ray Gradwell. Ray.
One more time, Ray.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay.
And Brendan Magnan.
I'm here. Thank you, Lisa. As we get started, Commissioner Field and Commissioner Gradwell, please serve as voting alternates this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Great. Just as a reminder for everyone participating, there's a few guidelines that we follow during this meeting to ensure that the meeting runs in accordance with our administrative and statutory requirements. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. It's also being live streamed on YouTube. And during this meeting, if anyone wishes to speak, please wait to be recognized by me, the chair. And once recognized, please state your name and address prior to making any statements, except for the commissioners. You don't have to do that. As a reminder, the jurisdictions of this meeting pertain to wetlands, brooks, rivers, floods, and wetland habitat. Zoning issues are not under our purview. Mayor Rose, could you please share the flag, and could I invite everybody to unmute themselves and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to
the flag
of the United States
of America,
and to the republic
which
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I'd invite everybody to go back on mute. And now I'd like to open, Mary Rose, if you could share the agenda, please. I'd like to open it up to public comments. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public to address the agencies on topics not otherwise on the agenda. Seeing none, I don't see any in attendance other than the property owner for the next matter. So let's move on to the next matter. Mayor Rose, could you please introduce item D1?
Sorry about that. I'm going to change your share just so you have a map of where we are as soon as I find the map. There we go. This is a notice of violation, IWC 25004 for 64 Quarry Road for deposition of soil and materials with work within 100 feet of a wetland or watercourse in the Indian River watershed without a permit. Based on a complaint of fill in or near the inland wetlands, I visited the property at 64 Quarry Road. My sidewalk notes and photos are in the meeting documents. The MIWA did issue permits for construction of this house in July of 21. The as-built was received and the permit bonds were released in August of 2022. The as-built for the house construction is in the meeting documents, and that's what I'm showing right now, with the wetland flag and the wetland boundary markers that were surveyed in shown. That permit 210023 was issued for construction with conditions in July. Permit was closed on, July of 21. Permit was closed on August of 22. The builder complied with the permit conditions, including installing the wetland boundary markers, showing the wetlands on the as-built, and noting that the work on the property requires inland wetlands agency approval on the city land records in the property deed. That's recorded, was recorded on 9/30/24 in the city land records on book 4112, page 222 to 224. On the site, I found piles of, sorry, lost my spot, material along the western side of the property. The wetland boundary markers had been removed, and soil piles were adjacent to this, to the wetland line, to the west of the garage. Machine tracks led from this area to the rear of the property over in the area of the mouse, where soil had been excavated from a slope and was tracked here along the western side of the house and up here to the north where the property dog legs back over here. And I apologize, there is wetland also in this area. I found the 4x4 posts with the city of Wetland markers numbered 1672 to 1675 on the ground in the northern area of the site, right about here. And as you can see, they had been installed on the as-built. I sent a notice of violation out by certified mail last Friday, March 29th, and a copy of the NOV was mailed with the agenda on the 31st. I spoke with the property owner, Mr. Han Lee, on yesterday on the 1st of April after received the notice of violation. He said he was cutting back the slope in his right rear yard, which I can show you on photos in my report. Nope, sorry. You will find it. There it is. This is the western side looking towards the street where the fill piles are. The wetlands are off to this area where the mouse is going. So longer view of that same area where the fill is piled. A close-up view of some siltation from last weekend's rain towards the, or I'm sorry, from the rain last week towards the wetland. To the rear of the property where some trees were cut down on a hill. And this is the slope that was excavated. You can see the machine tracks that were running between the side of the house and that dog leg to the back of the house. Standing in that dog leg, this is the cut slope. The wetlands are off to my right. This is looking down that little pointed dog leg. The wetlands run in through this area. And there's the wetland boundary markers on the ground. So he was doing this work to cut back this slope for some more grass area in his rear yard, is what I was told. The work is within 100 feet of a wetland on the other side of this berm. And then the deposition is within 100 feet of the wetland, probably within 10 feet of the wetland on the other side of the property. I spoke with him a couple times yesterday, explained what was required. He was going to need to remove those fill piles, put some erosion controls up, and the wetland markers needed to go back. I also had a call from someone who identified themselves as his landscaper, who told me that the driveway contractor had removed the fill piles yesterday. I did not get there to see that. Mr. Lee, I believe, said he had intended to have that done. He asked about the erosion control placement and requirements for the slope excavation. The landscaper felt that he could have the silt fencing installed by next Thursday, which would be the 10th of April. So those are the pictures. I can show you a picture from Unicity. This is when the house was complete. You can see with a close-up where those boundary markers are that are on the as-built plan. The fill piles run this side to the back of the yard. And this is an aerial view of the property. The wetlands are here and cross here. The excavation is here. right behind the house of the slope. And then you have more wetlands over here on this site. Mr. Lee is here this evening to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mary Rose. Mr. Lee, could you please identify yourself?
Lou,
Hi, can you say your name for the record?
Hong Lee.
Hi. You are now before the agency. We are volunteers for the city of Milford. We are appointed during this to this agency. And what Mary Rose presented causes us to be very concerned. We need to understand why you violated the wetlands.
I wasn't intending to violate the guidelines.
Why did you take down wetland boundary markers and not discuss that with the wetland agency?
So first of all, I purchased this house late last year, and I didn't know about the regulations, and the excavation of the dirt in my backyard was done when I was in New York City, and so the contractor have intended to pile the dirt near the backyard, and apparently there was some conflict with a neighbor. So I had them just I didn't want to get into an argument with a neighbor, so I just let them to move the pile. And I didn't know that was a violation. And he was also supposed to remove the dirt the next day, so yeah, apparently that didn't happen.
So who is the contractor that you hired that actually took the wetland boundary markers down?
It's some dude that I found off the internet.
Okay, who is that person? Do you have
I
the name of the company?
I wish not to identify them.
Well, that's interesting. It's a serious matter. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, given the fact pattern, Mr. Lee, the fact is this property was on the deed marked as having boundary markers. And so it stands to reason you should have known this. Mr. Ritchie.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Commissioner. Mary Rose, could you just explain the verbiage for the record on the signs for the boundary markers and what they exactly say, just so we could submit that to the record?
Sure. I don't think I have a close enough picture of them. We have them and we sell them in the office. As you can see, it's a round marker. Let me get close enough. The top says inland wetland, Milford inland wetland boundary. And in the center, there is a number so that we can tag we know where they go, or if we find them, where they came from. So it's clear that it's demarcating something. The agency has at its discretion whether to put a fence up, whether to put boulders up, whether to put boundary markers up. This was very close, fairly close to the property line. I think the agency felt that they didn't think people would clear and fill in over here. So we allowed the boundary markers. I don't know that a fence would have made a difference. Contractor with a machine can take that down just as easily. But they were staked in and on the as-built and there is a notation on the deed for the house. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Field, go ahead.
I have a lot of experience in this area. So he's the second homeowner who bought the property. When he bought the property, I'm quite sure because of the proximity where the house is to the wetlands, it was on the deed. So when he bought the property, I'm sure the lawyer probably told him, and he saw the deed, what was it is. And these weren't little signs. And the thing that really bothers me, these look like 8-foot posts that were buried in the ground about 2 to 3 feet. So, and they had a placard on it, and it was distinctly, and it was very clear on the placard what it is. And to be a homeowner and have these posts on the side of your yard and kind of like go, geez, I don't know what they are. I mean, that's kind of, um, kind of trying to ignore something, or put your head in the sand. For the fact I'm looking at the pictures right here, and they total disregard first by ripping up the posts, and second of all by where they put all the piles, and they piled it according to the pictures right along the wetlands. So it's one of those things where you know uh, you know now that you got caught, oh geez, I'm really sorry, I didn't know. Well, you did know, the posts were there. And if you have this post sitting in your yard that's got a placard on it, don't you think if you own the property you kind of figure out what they mean and what they do? And it's just, and the placard, the first post uh, on the front, 1675, looks like it was only about 5 feet off the wetlands line. The second one was 1674. It looks like it was 3 feet off, and the other two are further away. So, I mean, this isn't something where, someone just ripped it up and had a good 10, 15, 20 feet to still play with. I mean, the front two markers where it looks like most of the intrusion was done was in blatant disregard whatsoever. So, to me, it's like, I read the motions. I'm in agreement with 1, 2, and 3 of the motions. This is what happened. You cleaned it up, but how do we know you didn't go too far into it? And there's before he does any more work, they should have the silt fence up, and they should have a plan. And in the back where he's going, he's digging it out. How do we know exactly where it's located? Right now we're just going by pictures. You can only second guess it by where the house is. But I almost kind of consider this as like, you're coming in for a project, you're working in the wetlands review area, and it should be, you should get a soil scientist out there. You should just double check it. So, the fact that he was away and he hired a contractor and he wouldn't say who the contractor was, I mean, I don't get the warm and fuzzies with that. I mean, things do happen, but the posts are in the ground. They're up by the pictures of the posts. It looks like they were sticking out of the ground 5, 6 feet in the air. And 2 of the back posts are in the middle of the yard. The other 2 are right along the wetlands boundary. How do you miss those? It's just, if the posts were still there and they put a little dirt around it, okay, you made a mistake, but they ripped the posts out and they put them aside. That's pretty bad in my eyes.
Agreed with your characterization, Mr. Field. Just before I go to you, Mr. Ritchie, Mr. Lee, the state laws dictate that wetlands are to be protected pursuant to certain statutes, right? And so this is proving to be very difficult for us to accept, as you can hear. So yes, we will be asking you to execute plans with the soil scientists to determine the current limits and to determine a mitigation plan and to understand what adverse impacts may have already happened with the wetlands so that you can be square with us going forward. Is that understood?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this matter? If there's no other discussion, I'd entertain a motion. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion? Mr. Black?
Mr. Chair, I'll set the motion in there.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the cease and desist order IWV 25-004, 64 Quarry Road be upheld and modified to require the property owner to be ordered to, 1, properly install soil erosion and sediment controls on the site to prevent materials from entering the wetlands by 4/10/2025. 2, hire a certified soil scientist or professional wetland scientist to determine the current limits of the inland wetlands on the property and propose a mitigation plan. 3, by 5/12/25, submit a A2 survey and a T2 accuracy performed, signed, and sealed by a professional licensed land surveyor in the state of Connecticut, showing the following information at a minimum. A, existing site improvements. B, property boundaries, including all easements. C, wetlands line as delineated by a certified soil scientist or professional wetland scientist. D, limit the recent disturbance. 4, by 5/12/25, submit a detailed mitigation and planting plan for review and approval by the MIWA to restore the wetlands. Plan to be designed by a professional wetland scientist and include at a minimum A, stabilization of disturbed areas. B, replacement of the 4x4 posts with wetland boundary markers. C, planting of native shrubs. D, proposed timeline for execution of the mitigation plan to remove any remaining material, plant, and stabilize the disturbed area, including 2 years of twice-a-year monitoring by professional wetland scientists. E, draft planting and mitigation monitoring bond calculations. Bond to be posted to guarantee that the shrubs live for 2 years and monitoring reports are completed in a timely manner. F, outline of responsibilities of property owner for watering and maintenance of planting to ensure survival. 5, the property owner shall maintain all permits, including but not limited to inland wetlands, planning, zoning, and building that may be required to resolve and legitimize the site work. That is my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Do we have a second on the motion?
I second the motion.
Mr. Field seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Mary Rose, a question for you. Does the motion or does the approach that we typically apply in these scenarios need to include a specific bond amount, or is that something your office will do once the motion is executed and sometime later this week?
We don't know what the plan will be from the soil professional wetland scientist to restore the area. So the motion includes a request for a bond calculation from them, so we know what their time is for installation and monitoring. And that will come back to you, in theory, in the middle of May.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Lisa, roll call vote, please.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Brian Black,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Raymond Gradwell,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye, the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Lee, please be watching out for instructions from the office. Mary Rose will be in touch with you following this order. Thank you for coming before us tonight. Moving on to agenda item E, consideration of the minutes for the previous meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Field. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Brian Black,
Abstain.
Matthew Connors,
Abstain.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Ray Gradwell,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Lisa. Mary Rose, could you do your staff report, please?
Sure. My updates are in my notes. If we haven't already, Taft will tomorrow upload the new commissioner synopsis of experience. The website changed today, as you notice, if any of you had difficulty getting access to things, but that should be uploaded today. Thank you, everyone, for reviewing that for me. Please note that our meeting on May 7th has been canceled so that commissioners and citizens can attend the Connecticut DEP and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Hurricane Awareness Workshop. That will be held at Jonathan Law High School. It's from 5:30 into 8. It's a question, answer, and education period. There is a link in the notes to register for the workshop if you'd like to attend. And I believe that you can attend without that. They're planning refreshments, so they want to get a head count. Also, Saturday training at the Yukon Middlesex Extension Center with Lua through Clear is available in person. It's a 9 to 12 thing at the Middlesex Center. If you're interested, that link is also in the notes. Let's see, what else we got? More training. CRS program, we're working to finalize that. I hope to meet with them, with our ISO representative in the next few weeks and get that final grade and see if we can't increase our discount for our citizens. Hazard mitigation is working towards supporting that Army Corps of Engineers training on May 7th. The municipal stormwater sewer system report MS4 was submitted to DEEP last, I think on Monday. So we made the deadline. And other than that, no real project updates. Everybody who's working still working, and a couple folks are waiting for their as-built or their bonds to be released. I've received the as-built. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
If it's okay, I would still like to have a word.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, I can recognize you for a moment, but we have passed your agenda item. So what is the discussion?
So I know I've missed my chance to speak, and I was a bit nervous, and I know I got off the wrong foot with the comedy. I know of, so but I don't want to leave a bad impression. I just want to apologize for everything. The project was genuinely a miscommunication with me and my contractor. They were first of all, the Pov was not supposed to be there, and I mean, I've lived in an apartment for my entire life, and I just wasn't familiar with the laws and everything. So
understood.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, we appreciate that. I mean, I certainly do. I actually want you to look up, to educate yourself under the ct.gov website. If you just Google this, you will find it. If you just Google understanding wetlands in Connecticut, there's a website that will give you a lot of really good, valuable information. It's put out by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection by the state of Connecticut. And it will talk about what wetlands and watercourses are, how the state defines them, what resources you have available as a citizen, what we as a legislative body are responsible for, and why the conversation was what it was today. So please understand that we appreciate your participation now that you are informed, and that you will be getting more informed.
Very cool.
Appreciate your cooperation and appreciate the sentiments. Thank you. Okay, so Mary Rose, back to staff report. Question on the cancellation of the meeting. There's no sort of pending requests that you are aware of that we need to address that would warrant a special meeting, correct?
Not at this time. I have several, as I have for the last few months, several applications circulating circulating. I've got a couple of pre-application meetings next week. I'm informing anybody as they come in and they inquire about deadlines that, you come in on the 16th, we're not going to hear you until whatever that is, the 20th, 21st of May. If something comes in that's hot or needs immediate things, we do have an extra Wednesday in there. April is a 5 Wednesday month, but we take a lot of your time and I don't want to overcommit unnecessarily. So our usual applicants have been informed. Anybody that's contacted me, somebody was in yesterday and I said, well, you're Monday, if you could get it to me tomorrow, I can probably get you through the agency by May, but otherwise you're gonna be here until June. But they didn't have their plans ready. So I'll let you know about that. I don't believe there's anything hugely outstanding.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Mary Rose? It's a long list of projects in the staff report. Anything worth highlighting this meeting, Mary Rose? Anything noteworthy?
8 Willem Court is up in the air and they're working towards completion. Wheelers Farms Road, 523, I'm waiting on a easement that wasn't posted on there that I'm not able to find on the land records. I need to see that. Other than that, subway's moving forward fairly quickly on 305. They're getting ready to start their planting. They're talking about the plantings that they want to put in for the sites that we had on our plans. And they also have, through zoning, some plantings that they're going to do on the Mondo Ponds property. 34 Pearl Street's ongoing. They had a bit of a hiccup in the beginning with their erosion controls, but that has corrected. Other than that, no, we're pretty good.
Are you going to be attending the training this coming Saturday or not?
No, I've done that. We've actually hosted it here years ago.
Right.
It's not this Saturday. It's the following Saturday, the 11th.
Is anybody taking that from the agency?
I wanted to, but we have an event down at my daughter's school on that day. And it's actually the 12th, not the 11th.
Oh, sorry about that.
Right. That's
I was
right.
afraid that I had my day wrong when I saw that because I knew I was out of town on the 12th. The thing at Jonathan Law on this
7th.
7th,
Correct.
do you recommend attendance? Is that something that
I-
we would gain much from?
It's about hurricane awareness. So depending upon where you live, it may be more appropriate. We are supposed to have representatives from the federal delegations. Army Corps is running this. DEP, Department of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, who does a lot of our hurricane planning, is involved in it. The Corps and the National Weather Service may have to attend virtually. They haven't been cleared to travel yet. The first one was held last week in Groton, I believe, at Avery Point. I haven't seen much press on it. I looked last week. I haven't looked this week. I don't know how well attended it was. The flyer's a little scary because it says hurricanes can kill, not the warm and fuzzy message to get folks out, but they're not wrong. And so it depends upon your level of expertise and understanding of hurricanes if you want to attend. I think it would be a good night. I don't think you have to stay from 5:30 to 8. We're very lucky to have it here in Milford and not have to travel. Region 2 is fairly large. We could have to travel out east a bit. And there's a couple of regions that aren't having them. They're consolidated. So I think it's very useful. And if it's not your cup of tea, you're close to home.
Thank you.
Question.
I
Yeah.
plan on attending that, Mary Rose and Chairman. It looked
I
like a
did
good,
too.
yeah, it looked like a good opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about some of the things that are impacting us almost yearly now these days.
Yeah, our hurricane preparedness, our hazard mitigation committee works very hard to get everything lined up, and we've prepared a lot since Sandy and Irene, but interest wanes in what we're doing the further we get from Sandy and Irene. But you still have that chance of the storm many times every year.
Yeah, great to hear that a couple of folks are going. I'm going to be attending as well. So we'll see you in person. Be nice to meet you in person.
Good. Yeah, excellent. Well,
Great. Okay, if no other discussion on Mary Rose's segment, I will just move to the chair's report. Thanks everybody for attending this evening and your continued participation and volunteerism. Our next meeting is April 16th via Zoom. Please be sure to let the office know if you have any questions. Mary Rose, just a follow-up question. The website I'm looking at now for the city of Milford, seems to be turned on. It's done. It's live. Yeah, even though
It's on and up. It's just because our links were posted and Taft posted them on a non-public facing page yesterday, and they were all supposed to come through. Didn't necessarily happen, which is why he emailed you everything, and then why I redid the links right before the meeting, because I was concerned.
appreciate all the
But
help.
we should have that conquered by the next meeting. It's a little funky when you go to our page. When you go to agendas, you get everybody's agenda, and then you have to scroll through and find us again. So hopefully our links will work in the future.
The documents are there. If you click through them, they are on
They
the
are.
website.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, the ones you saw from me were downloaded from the webpage.
The synopsis page is getting a custom 404 error message.
Okay.
That's the link on the new website for the commissioner synopsis. That embedded link is failing.
Okay.
Will Taft kind of check through all these links sometime this week?
Yeah, he spent a good amount of time doing that today. It's a bit choppy. There's a debug session next Wednesday, but
Okay. All right.
the long and the short of what I've heard of it from him is that where you used to create a page, and if you had to add something, you just opened, added, and resaved. Now you have to create the whole new page or something. It's not. He's tried to get them to show him how to do it a different way a couple of times, but it's not. It's you just recreate the wheel. So,
Right. Okay.
fun times.
When I clicked on what I can do with my land, it's completely blank.
Alrighty.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm getting the same thing, but also just on the main inland wetland website for Milford, getting 404.
Yeah. There's definitely some transition issues with some of the information. Not Taft's fault, not your fault.
No, it's
probably the
you know,
problem.
it's a glitch. The web page, moved over
Yeah.
like 8 hours ago or so.
Not even, right?
Funny.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Moving on to, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Aldo. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr. Field. All in favor? Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Brian Black,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Ray Gradwell, Brenda Magnan.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Motion is
Sure.
meeting is adjourned.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, all.
Bye, everyone.